Okay, I apologize. I'm a little sick right now. Oh my god, I already want to cry. I was told by my mom that it'd be very therapeutic to talk about the situation between my ex and I. Mommy?
What?
Am I allowed to say his name?
Yeah, he was part of our video.
Oh yeah. So he's been in a couple of our videos. I'm going to only disclose his first name. I don't know if his last name has ever been put out on our videos, so like I don't want anybody to go after him or anything because it's happened. Like, I know that it was bad, but I still think that like people are people, you know, like nobody wants to be essentially wants to be like the person who gets attacked or harassed no matter what like they've done. So originally Austin and Mila were talking, one of my friends, she's like my best friend. Austin and Mila were talking, and I don't exactly remember how they met, but it was over the internet, and they were originally talking, and he was 17 at the time, and she was 15? No, yeah, I think she was 15. But they were talking and everything, and they were going to get together. Like, he was so nice to her and she enjoyed that, but when she found out that he was about to turn 18, she didn't want that anymore. She didn't want like to have to deal with the fact that he was about to be 18. And when I started hearing about that, you know, she had me text him one time so he would meet us at the pool over here. So we could all hang out because she didn't want to hang out with him alone before they went on like their double date that she had with my other best friend Kayla and her boyfriend at the time. So him and I started talking after that day, after we met, because we talked that day and Mila wouldn't acknowledge him, wouldn't talk to him or anything, so I was talking to him and we got to know each other a little bit, and I already knew him a little more because of their conversation, and I had read through it and Mila had been reading it to me, and so then we just started talking every day. Every single day it would be, hey, good morning, how are you, you know, hope you have a good day, you know, stuff like that. I text him during school, he'd text me during his school, like, you know, because he was a senior, and we were just talking back and forth, and we began to be close and started talking more, and eventually what led us to being together was Austin was being deceived by Mila. Like, Mila was lying to him and everything because she was too scared to tell him the truth that she didn't want anything to do with him anymore. So I didn't know how old he was. I thought he was 16 turning 17 because that's what I was told by Mila, and he didn't know that that's what Mila told me. So I didn't know the real reason why Mila didn't want anything to do with him anymore. So then we started becoming close, and I told my mom about it, and we were standing in Walmart when I was complaining that I wanted Dutch. And so Austin and I were talking about it while I walked through Walmart, and I was texting him, and he goes, well, I mean, I have a car and I just got a puppy and like I can bring you some. And I was like, oh, I don't know, you know, I just don't want to like make you do that. And my mom goes, oh my god, give me your phone. And she takes my phone from me and she texts him. And she texts him and she goes, yeah, you know what, that'd be really nice. I would like to see you again. And I was like, oh my god, I cannot believe that you just did that. Like, oh my god, what the hell? Like, we were still standing in the middle of Walmart and my mom's like, okay, we gotta make this visit quick, we gotta get everything and then we're going. And so we come home and he shows up and he met my family that day. And I don't exactly remember their initial opinion on him. I think that they thought he was really nice and everything. So Austin and I just sat in my front yard. We sat in my front yard, listening around with his puppy. We ended up like laying in the grass with her because she fell asleep, and the boys played with Ellie. Like, it was a lot of fun, and it was just normal, you know? It's nothing that I had ever had before. Like, something that I've never felt before either, and which is hard to think about, you know, the way that it started to the way that it ended. So, it was good. The beginning of the relationship was amazing, you know, honeymoon phase. We were always texting each other back and forth, like, no matter what we were doing, we always we always stopped what we were doing just so we could talk to each other, even no matter how much trouble it got either of us in, you know. And I think that's what, like, originally I really loved. And we started dating August 24th of 2017, I believe, because, yeah, August 24th of 2017, and I was 14 at the time, and he was about to turn 18 a month later, actually days later, and I didn't know. So we had been dating for I think a week when I got a call, I think, from my mom when I was in school, and she was so mad at me because she was going on that I lied to her about how old he was, and she would have never let me with him if she knew how old he was, and that, you know, like, lying's such a bad thing to do and I should have just told her the truth. But I had no idea, so I started crying. I didn't know what to do, because what was I supposed to do? I was lied to myself. Like, he didn't know that Mila said that he was turning 17. And Mila and I actually weren't talking at that time because we were in a huge fight. So I leave school and I'm bawling my eyes out. I'm a freshman in high school at this point, and I'm bawling and I'm crying and I don't know what to do because I had just started high school, so I'm stressed out about that. And then on top of it, I was dealing with a stalker, and on top of that, I had basically no friends, and now I had my mom yelling at me, telling me that I'm a liar, and I didn't know what to do. So I'm crying, and I'm standing outside, and she's standing outside our house, and I'm bawling my eyes out, telling her I didn't know, and then we talked to him that day after school. Actually, this is when Mila and I became friends again, because I went back to school bawling. And she's like, I thought I told you, I'm sorry, you know, like, I love you, I'm here for you. And later that night we talked to Austin, and we talked all together, my dad included, and we all had a conversation, and my mom's like, we just don't want you to get in trouble because you seem like a nice boy. We just don't want, you know, anything bad to happen to you because someone wants to lie about what's going on in the relationship. And so I was like, freaking out, and I was like, I don't want him to be with me if, you know, it's going to ruin his life. But he said that he wanted to, that he really cares about me and he doesn't care about the risks. And I think that that was the one thing that really, that's the one thing that changed the whole game for me. Like, I was so happy, you know. I never thought that anybody would want to, you know, risk ruining their lives for me. I mean, their life for me. So everything just kept on going, and we didn't really have any problems, and he'd come over almost every single day and see me, and when I got sick, he'd still, you know, like, come over to make sure that I was okay, or if he couldn't come over, like, call me, and we talked on the phone all night long, and we'd fall asleep on the phone together, you know, like, just typical teenage stuff, you know. And then eventually, the end of freshman year, for me, everything, I don't think I would say everything started to go downhill, but that's when the honeymoon stage started coming to an end. All of a sudden, it started, everything, like, we were fighting every time we saw each other. We always got into arguments, and, you know, I understand that if you don't have an argument when you're in a relationship, like, that means that you guys don't talk. And we talked all the time, so I just thought, you know, it's nothing. So Ellie started to get bigger, and he started to throw her around, like, actually throw her around. And he started to, like, throw her on the floor, or he would, like, smack her, like, 7 times, like, really hard and shit. And it was, I knew that I didn't like him doing that, and I constantly brought that up. I was like, I don't want you doing that to your dog, you know, that's not okay. And he one time did it in front of my family, and my mom got upset, and that's when he went home. My mom and dad sat me down, and they're like, if he abuses his dog, what stops him from abusing you, you know? And I was like, no, he's not like that, he's not doing that, you know. His parents, his stepmom and his dad, you know, do worse to that dog than he does, you know. I was just, like, putting it aside, like, yeah, I know it's bad, but, like, it's better than how she gets treated at the home. So we, you know, just continued fighting every day, and we just continued, you know, pushing through it. And he was the best relationship that I had ever had, of course. And I, of course, enjoyed being with him, you know, like, everything. And so him and I were starting to go out on, like, actual dates after a while, like, out for food and stuff, and we would hang out, and it was summertime at this point, so we hung out a lot more. But then I started the summer with a job. I was 15. I had just turned 15. So when he met Mila, she was 14. And when he met me, I was 14. And he was just turning 18. So Austin and I were still together, just turned 15, which means he was turning 19 in 2018. And I'm working as a lifeguard at the pool locally over by my house. I was also working at the Y over in the town that he lived, which was like 15 minutes away from us. And that's when everything started to get more stressful, because I was now balancing having 2 jobs. Austin constantly had to talk to me, because if he didn't, we got into a fight about how I don't care about him and how I'm treating him terribly, and I seem like I don't even want to be in this relationship anymore. And I was in love with him. Like, I would do anything, you know? Like, I don't know to the extent of what I would do, because I never really, like, did anything super bad to prove it to him, but I mean, like, I would have probably run away with him. You know, I would have probably done that. Like, I was all new to this whole, you know, actual feeling thing. So, I was already scared, because this was the longest relationship I had, and I didn't want it to end. I absolutely did not want the first guy that I fell in love with to end it, because I wasn't good enough. And that's how I constantly felt with him, is I constantly felt like I was messing everything up, and I was never enough, and I was just, you know, ruining everything constantly. But the abuse with his dog continued, and actually started to get worse after a while. But we were still together, and then one day my dad, at the beginning of my sophomore year, so 2018, like of August, it passed our 1 year already, you know, and we were officially out of the honeymoon stage, I think. So I was in health, and we were talking about abusive relationships, and I was like, wow, this is not a topic I want to go into, you know. And my dad sat me down literally the day that we had that conversation in health class. I don't think my dad realized that, but my dad sits me down after Austin had left the house, and he goes, I want you to watch something. And it was a TED Talk on this girl talking about how her relationship was abusive, and how she didn't know it at the time, and she didn't realize it. But the day before their wedding was when she finally realized it, because he hit her for the first time. And I was like, Austin's never done that. Austin never has hit me, you know? I mean, Austin would. He'd, like, you know, if I said something, like, really stupid, like I called myself fat or anything, he'd, like, lightly smack me in the face, and I was just like, what the hell? Like, you know, I don't want you doing that shit to me. But it didn't really stop, and he did it in front of my dad one day, and my dad after Austin left, my dad goes, I just can't believe you did that. And I was like, it's whatever, it doesn't matter, you know. So then he was just, everything just got, like, more complicated, because for a while, like, before our 1 year, he started pulling me away from my friends. Like, I wasn't really hanging out with Nikayla and Mila anymore, and, like, they were my best friends, you know, the people I'd never leave, you know, and stuff like that. And they weren't texting me, and I wasn't texting them, because every time I texted them, I wanted to go hang out with them, you know, because they were like, oh, it's just everything that's going on, you know, it's just too much to text, like, just come over and hang out. But if I tried to hang out with them, Austin and I'd get into a fight about how he was going off about how I don't care about him, and I just ditch him for my friends, and how him and I never hang out, and every time we do hang out, it's not like I'm really there and he doesn't want to like take over my life or anything, but like he can't be second choice every time, and how I just am acting like I don't care about him. And I was like, okay, and I was like, I have Austin over, I'm not gonna hang out. And so eventually Mila and Kayla stopped asking. And eventually they stopped trying to come over to my house, because every time they came over, they realized that if they saw Austin's car, they'd be like, yeah, no, that's not. She just won't hang out with us. So at this point, it's been past a year, and I just got done with the job at the place in my town, and then the Y that I was working at in his town, I had just told them I'm going to focus on my education, and so I don't know if I could deal with working at the same time, because I was just starting sophomore year. So we were back to everything. We were fine, I thought. But like I said, we were fighting every day again. We were, everything was just constantly, I can't think of it. It was like, the word starts with an R, but I can't think of it. It was just, we were constantly fighting all the time. Every time we were around each other, there was always a fight. Like, something always happened. And so at this point, we're, cuddling together, and he's 19, I'm 15, and we're, cuddling and everything, because he's still my boyfriend, and we're watching a movie on my phone, and then all of a sudden he gets this text from this girl that won't leave him alone. And I know this isn't like specifically significant or anything, but it was like, she would not leave him alone. Like, she was constantly texting him and wouldn't leave him alone and everything, and I keep on repeating that. But it was like so bad. If he didn't reply within 2 seconds, she would freak out. And it's not like she was a part of his family or anything. It's not like she was one of his friends or anything. She was just some random girl that one day just decided to find someone to talk to. And I don't exactly know how she found Austin, but I was just scared, because all of the other relationships, the fake relationships that you have when you're in middle school and everything, I was essentially cheated on to a certain degree. Like, other guys would be dating me and other girls at the same time, and, well, dating loose term, but I was just like, I'm afraid, but at the same time, like, I really trust him, like, I trust people way too easily, and I know that now, but this had happened one other time, and this girl I knew because of one of my friends, and she wouldn't leave him alone either, and she started obsessing over him and calling him every day if, he didn't answer her text messages, her, like, 60 text messages in an hour. And so one day I got so pissed, I took his phone from him and I go, this is his girlfriend, you know who I am, if you don't leave him alone, like, he'll block you, I'm tired of this. And I blocked her from his phone. And then I found out a little while later that he ended up unblocking her and talking to her again and everything, and it made me upset. But I was just like, he's mine, he's with me, he chose me. Later I found out that he was complaining to this girl that that it wasn't working out between us. That wasn't like that. It wasn't what he wanted it to be anymore. But then the other girl that I found out when we were cuddling, that girl that I found out about, he ended up, I went through their conversation and he was flirting with her, and he never came out that he had a girlfriend. He never told them that he, you know, was with anybody, and she was blatantly flirting with him. And this time that she texted him, she goes, I'll fly you out to come see me, because I think she lived in like Florida or something, and she lived across the country. And he goes, okay, I don't know. And I was like, what do you mean you don't know? You don't know who she is. She's been talking to you for how long now? I don't even know. I think it was like a month when I found out. And he's like, yeah, but it's her birthday, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you're not going because I'm not going. You don't know who this girl is, for one. For two, you have a girlfriend, and I'm sitting right here. And he goes, yeah, I know. She just won't leave me alone, you know. It's just really hard, and it's just really bad. And I'm just like, I cannot believe that we're even having this conversation. Like, it's obvious that this isn't happening. Like, you're not gonna go do this because this is dangerous for you to do, and I don't know if I could be with you when you did it, because something could happen no matter if it was specifically your fault or not. And he's like, yeah, I'm just gonna block her, you know, I'm tired of hearing from her. And I watched him block her. So he just continued taking over my life more and more, and got so bad to the point where if I was in school and I didn't text him, he'd freak out. Like, actually freak out. Like, I would be sitting in class and my phone would go off, and I'm like, I need to, you know, stay away. I'm trying to learn here. Like, that's why I'm at school. And so I just left it alone, you know. I don't know who's texting me. I don't know who's calling me, you know, just leave it alone. And when I'd get out of class, to the point where I could look at my phone, I would have like 16 messages of him just going, hey, what the hell, you're not texting me, you know, are we not even hanging out, are we even together anymore, like, do you still love me, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh my god, what is going on? And I brought it up with him after a while of him doing this, and he goes, I don't care that you're in school, like, I'm okay with you not texting me if you're in school, you know, like, I understand that. And I'm like, then stop texting me. Stop freaking out if I don't talk to you. And he's like, well, you talk to me like 2 seconds before I send you another message, and then you don't reply to that. And I'm like, because I have free time between classes. I have 5 minutes. And the Wi-Fi sucks in the first place at this school, so
Connor, what the hell is going on?
So he was just freaking out for no reason, and we had that conversation a whole bunch of times before we broke up eventually. And so that was happening most of my sophomore year. Like, I'm still a sophomore right now. And so right now it's been 4 months, and it's May 2nd. So it's been 4 months. Thank you. Yeah. So we're broken up for like 4 months now. And so we broke up February, days before Valentine's Day, which that was so sad. I'm sorry I'm smiling. I just am like super, nervous about this whole situation because I'm still upset about it. Like a couple days ago, I was up until 1 in the morning and I look up and I forgot that I had pictures hanging up here of me and him together, and I started bawling, because it sucks a lot because I know that I still love him. Because those feelings just don't go away, But it's hard to deal with when I feel like I messed everything up, But we're gonna get into why we broke up. So by this point, it's almost a year and a half. Like February would have been a year and a half. And so I think, yeah, because it was the beginning of February when we broke up. So January, we're hanging out, and there's a couple parks that are out over by, just out in the country. And so Park M, and we went to originally. We were hanging out with Ellie, we were just playing around, messing around, everything was okay. And we start heading to Park H, the other park that's a little farther out. And we're in his car and we're driving, and I don't know what I said. But I said something so bad to the point where he just smacks me. Like, really hard. He hits me. And I was stunned. Like, I didn't cry. I just turned, looked through the window, and I kept on pleading to myself, don't cry, all the way to Park H. And I was like, all of these thoughts were running through my head, like, what did I do wrong? This is my fault. I said something stupid. I shouldn't have done it, And I was just like, I just couldn't believe that it happened, So I was trying so hard not to cry because I didn't want to make him feel bad about it, because I was like, I didn't know what to do. I've never dealt with this situation. I mean, like, my mom and dad's first marriage, I saw an abusive relationship, but I knew it wasn't wrong. I just didn't know what to do, because I had never been put in the situation of an abusive relationship. I've just